Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I know my voice is kind of weird today because I got cold, but anyways, so this is my model slash friend Ashley, and we decided to do something very simple, very like subtle look as a bridal look. So if you guys would like to see how I'm doing it, please keep watching. So she's a gorgeous girl without any makeup. So first thing first, we are going to spray her face with Soothing Facial Mist by Garnier. After which, I'm going to color correct her under eyes and around the mouth using Maybelline Apricot color corrector. And I'm just going to apply that around her darkness, around the mouth and underneath the eyes, so that way when we apply foundation, it hides that discoloration area. Now for foundation, I'm using my Maybelline Fit Me foundation in number 315. And here I'm using a brush to dab the foundation on top of those like color corrected zones and the rest of the face. Don't forget the top of your eyelids when applying foundation, that's very important, and the neck. Now for my highlight, I'm using my Maybelline Age Rewind highlight in shade Neutralizer. And that's actually one of my most favorite highlighters, and I use that even on my clients because it has absolute great coverage. Once the application is done, it's time to blend it, and for that I'm using a combination of my brush and beauty blender. I like to go in with the beauty blender especially underneath the eyes and around the edges because it blends a lot better and you don't see any sort of lines or whatsoever. Now for the beauty blender, I'm actually using my Kuo in 3 sets. So I like to use a brand new beauty blender on my clients or on my model. So I always like to use the Trio Kuo beauty blender. They are pretty cheap, like they're $15, and it's okay to use one on each client because honestly it's very inexpensive and you can afford that easily. Now once the blending is done, it's time to move on to the cream contour. For that, I'm using my Maybelline Age Rewind in shade Hazelnut. Now if you guys know about Maybelline, especially their Age Rewind concealers, they actually launched a lot of different colors, which is amazing because as a makeup artist, I loved their highlighters, but it lacked a lot of shades. Now with all of different shades, it's easy for me to use them pretty much on all skin types and skin tones of client. Now again, using my beauty blender, I'm going to blend all the contouring zones. Now the reason why I like to use a little cream contour, because I like that extra bit of coverage for the brides, because they will have to keep that makeup for longer hours and also look beautiful in pictures and in person. Now if you're doing a party makeup, you can totally skip this step because you don't need a cream contour. You can just completely avoid this and move on to your powder contour, and that's absolutely fine. Now I'm going to blend underneath her eyes and ask her to only look up before I set her under eyes with some loose powder. For my loose powder today, I'm using my Ingot translucent powder. All the product details will be listed down below on the description box. Now baking is a very important thing for brides, I find, because they are going to keep that makeup, and the makeup is going to be on their face for at least 8 to 12 hours. So baking sort of helps keep the makeup in place. And here I'm just baking all her highlighted zones, including the bridge of her nose and everywhere else. Now to set the rest of the face, I'm going to use MAC Studio Fix powder in shade NC42, which is her shade. And I'm going to just use that powder on all over her face, including on top of her contour and highlight and everything together. That way it sort of creates a transition and it just looks beautiful. And as I'm applying that powder, I'm also dusting off that excess powder sitting on her face as a baking powder. So once the powder is off the face, I'm going to move on to the blush. The reason why I'm skipping my powder contour today, because as a brush she already has that layer of cream contour and it's still showing above the base, and I don't want to put more contour powder on her face. I just want to keep it as is, especially because the bride already has a very chiseled face. I don't have to make her face any more contoured. I think this is perfect. So I'm just going to take my blush. For my blush, I'm using my Benefit Cosmetics blush in California Dreams, and I'm just going to keep it at that. And that sort of toned the contour color nice from contour to a beautiful blush face. Now I do not want to put contour powder more because it's going to make the face look extremely bronzed out and chiseled and contour, and I don't want to do that on her. Now for my brows, I'm actually using my Maybelline eyebrow pencil. So for my eyebrows, I'm actually using my Maybelline Total Temptation Brow Definer in 315, which is deep brown. And once I fill in her sparse areas, I'm just going to use the spoolie to brush her brows out nicely. Now to nicely set her forehead and her under eyes and her laugh line, I'm going to use my MAC Studio Fix NC42 powder, and using a smaller brush, I'm just dabbing it underneath her eyes once more for a better, fuller coverage. Also making sure that no more creases happening or whatsoever, because as a bride, she's going to be wearing this for 8 to 12 hours. So that's the reason why I'm just kind of layering it around those areas where creases can actually happen very easily, especially around the forehead area, underneath her eyes, or around the laugh lines. Now, before I move on to my eyeshadow, I'm just going to set her eyes as well with a little bit of NC42 to get rid of that crease. Once that's gone, we can easily put our powder eyeshadows. Now I'm going to set the whole face with makeup setting spray, so all that powderiness is gone and I can move on to my highlighter. For my highlighter today, I'm using my Becca highlighter in shade Opal. And this is actually one of my most favorite shades for all brides because it goes literally with almost every skin tone. And it blends very nicely without having a very shiny, shimmery effect, because you don't want all of that. You just want something more subtle. A glow doesn't necessarily mean you need a stroke of highlighter. A little bit of highlighter goes a long way, especially for brides. I don't think they need to look like a joker using a whole bunch of highlighter. They can just have it as a subtle glow. While applying the highlighter, you have to make sure it's blended kind of together with the blush. So you know how you have your first layer contour blended with the blush, then you have highlighter blended with the blush. So altogether it looks like a transition from contour, blush to highlighter. And I'm just putting a slightly on top of her forehead because as you can see, the light is sort of hitting around her forehead as well, but very slightly, and I'm just blending it away. On the bridge of her nose and also on the tip of her nose, on the cupid's bow, and a little bit on her chin as well. Once you sort of place the highlighter, you need to blend it well, and also because we want to make it seem like the bride is glowing from within and not just been, glown using a bunch of highlighter on her face. No. I'm using that highlighter a little bit on her brow bone just to lift the brow a little bit, and also on the inner corners to make her look more awake. A perfect trick if you are having a morning bride who's going for a morning event like a Nikkah or a Gurdwara wedding. This totally makes the bride look more awake and fresh and just beautiful altogether. So that's it. Once the highlighter job is done, I'm going to take away all that powder sitting on her brows using my Benefit mascara, brow mascara. It's called 3D Brow Tones in shade, I don't know what the shade is. Okay, no worries. I will list all the product down below on the description box for you guys to have a look. For her waterline, I'm using a nude pencil. This is by Inglot. And for the eyeshadows, literally I'm going to use 2 eyeshadows. First, I'm using soft brown. This soft brown, I'm going to place it all over her lid, around her crease, lid, and outer corners as well. And very light-handedly, very softly. I'm going to be doing the same thing for the other eye as well. Once that is done, I'm going to use the color called Brown Script, which is 2 shades darker than the soft brown. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this color carefully on the outer V of her eyes and also on the lower part of her eyes. I'm going to bring the color on the 1/3 of her lower part of her eyes. And I'm going to ask her to look up, and just on the outer corners of the lower part of her eyes, I'm just going to blend that color like that. And it's very softly, I'm just blending it so it looks more like contoured eyes, and it just looks beautiful all in all. I'm going to be doing the same thing on the other eye as well. And now it's time to blend all of that together. For the mascara, she's using one of my favorite mascaras, and I think nowadays it's almost everyone's favorite. This is the new Benefit mascara in Bad Girl Bang. One of my current favorite, honestly, ever since I got my hands on them. I love them. And she's just using the same mascara on her eyes, on both part of her top lash and the lower lash. And see how carefully she's applying it from the inner to the outer parts of her lashes. And just layering up that mascara so all that powder is gone and it gives you that lift and volume to your lashes. For the liquid eyeliner, I'm using Essence Liquid Liner in shade Black, and for that I'm using an angular brush to draw her wing liner. Now, we don't want the eyeliner to be too dramatic, we also don't want it to be too thin. So you need to find a perfect, precise amount of how much you want the liner to be and how thick or thin you want it to be. Usually for morning events, I like the eyeliners to look like a little thicker, but not too thin, but not too thick, because it makes you look more awake. A little bit of wing liner gives you that fling to your eyes and you look more like awakened for the function or whatever. For the lipstick, I'm going to mix 2 lipsticks together. First, I'm going to apply Amazonian liquid lipstick by Maybelline. And I'm just going to top it up with Nude Matte lipstick by Maybelline as well. And this is in the number 657. It's a beautiful nudish color. I think it's perfect for like deeper skin tone like ourselves, like someone who is off like NC40 to around like NC45. I think it's a perfect shade. For lashes, I'm using my Kiss lashes. These are in number 11. It's a very natural looking, kind of like a demi-wispy sort of lashes. And I am just hiding all that glue using my liquid liner by Essence. And here I'm sort of blending it, any uneven edges, and that is it, guys. That actually wraps up the whole look. Oh, and one more step. I'm just going to mattify that eyeliner using a little bit of black eyeshadow. This is by Anastasia Beverly Hills in shade Noir. And it also makes the eyeliner look really dark and steady. Like sometimes, you know, eyeliners don't look as dark, so you need to just top it up with a little bit of eyeshadow to make them look extreme dark and the blackest of the black. So that is it, guys. That wraps up the entire look for this look. I hope you guys have enjoyed this makeup tutorial. The hair was actually done by me. If you guys would like to see a hair tutorial on this hair, I will definitely be happy to do it on my dummy. And that is it, guys. This is the entire look. I hope you guys have enjoyed the makeup tutorial. And if you guys have any questions, do not forget to comment below. Also, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching.